You are now listening to the sounds of Milkcrates Microphones.
Joining us now, he is a world-renowned musician, hip-hop artist, hailing from Seattle, Washington, somebody that we've been big fans of for a long time and really, really looking forward to this interview. Everyone give it up for the one, the only, Sadistik. Hell yeah.
Appreciate it.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, man. We appreciate you coming in midweek and doing it on a Wednesday with us.
Hey, no problem.
Hell yeah.
Bro, Sadistik, you're not residing in Seattle anymore, correct? Are you in Los Angeles?
No, I'm in LA.
Okay, I thought you were in LA. Man, how was it growing up in Seattle? I mean, that's more of a founders of the grunge scene, right? And
Well,
I mean, Nirvana came from that area. I mean, how was it growing up there?
You wrote me a cool backstory, but I grew up in Eastern Washington.
Okay.
And it's called Yakima, which
Okay.
is not as cool of a backstory. And then I went to college and then Seattle.
Okay.
Then my brother was in Seattle earlier, so I'd kind of go back and forth.
Did you come across that grunge scene growing up, or was that something you were into, or was it just straight rap hip hop?
Not as early as I wanted to. I mean, I was definitely into like the obvious ones. I actually had a stepdad at one point who was friends with the Screaming Trees. And so he put me onto a lot of stuff when I was really young. And, you know, took me to like Lollapalooza and shit when I was like 10.
Sick.
So I was exposed to some cool stuff. I had a step cousin who in like 5th grade was the first person I ever knew who I was like, he's definitely going to be in prison. And he is, unfortunately. But he put me onto Metallica and stuff when I was really young, like Kill 'Em All and Master of Puppets. And so I was exposed to it. But I got so obsessed with rap when it came across my plate at a young age that I wish I'd listened to more rock younger. When I was a teenager and I started like really falling in love with music, it wasn't just entertainment for me. Like I realized that it was like a little more for me than I previously thought. Then I started like really branching out into other genres, but not really when I was younger.
What was it? What hip hop was it that came across your plate that really sucked you in, especially locally? What were you listening to?
So, I mean, I came up listening to shit like the first CD I ever begged for was SIBO, Tales from the Crypt.
Nice.
So like a lot of like everything from like Ape on MJG to Goody Mob to Ant Banks and Quick and like a lot of Southern shit. Like Mr. Mike, Crime Boss, fucking you know, No Limit stuff, a little bit of everything, lots of East Coast stuff, but I have a very obsessive personality when I like something, and that meant like mowing lawns and spray painting people's address numbers on their curbs for money to beg to get a ride to buy CDs. Because this is back in the day when you didn't have access, you know what I mean? You had to guess.
You had to go to the record store and get a CD.
Yeah. If you knew the local store, you know, they might like open that shit with the razor real quick. But if you ask for too many, they start like pushing you, you know?
Yeah. Those are the good days when you go and you can actually hear something before you bought it. You know, just that little sample, the 15-second little something that they had on display.
Yeah.
Now you don't get none of that.
I shouldn't age myself like so early in this discussion, but I remember. It's like the member berries in South Park, but some 800 number where it had the whole like library of music, which was like bizarre at that time, and you could type it in with the touch tone phone. I remember the first one was I was typing in 8-ball and MJG, and then you could do it with the numbers on the phone, and you could hear like small snippets of music. And I remember like when someone told me about this, I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like you can listen to a little bit of everything. Like it's nuts. So it's like obviously the value of music is changed drastically, you know.
Yeah, you fast forward a few years and you have everything at your fingertips. It's insane.
Yeah.
So just on the whole personal tip here, when I tell people, who's coming on the show or who you gonna say, I got Sadistik, and then we put up a picture, people aren't expecting you to be fucking serious hip hop fucking mean motherfucker. People are thinking that we're bringing on like a rock guy, and it blows me away. I'm like, no, you got to hear this man. This man has been shutting shit down for as far back as with Eyedea to as far back as just killing it with even with Wicca Face.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs ever is with you and Wicca Face. I mean, like, for goodness sakes, man, you've been doing it for quite some time. What's changed over the years, and especially with this new album you just dropped in February, what sets this one apart from the other ones?
That one's interesting because I was already deep into my next solo album. And then Malskull, over the years, he's sent me beats, and we've known each other a long time. We've toured together. We have a history. But he kept sending me dope beats, and I wasn't rocking them as much as I should have. And then finally, I kind of like leaned into a couple, and he just kept sending me more. And everyone was kind of a little better than the last one. And so like I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And so I kind of pivoted a little bit from the solo album, and we just hit a flow. So I just rolled with that for a while. And yeah, and so then the next album, the solo album is done now too. But yeah, Oblivion Theater, it's fun to work with one producer. Malskull's very enthusiastic and, you know, just believes in it, believes in me. So it's a good energy back and forth. Just felt pretty natural. I didn't try to overthink it.
The production's great, man.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I think every one of your albums, I feel like it's a movie that I'm going through.
Yeah, it's like a score. The production behind and then the lyrics obviously build it up, but like the production always seems super heavy, especially for like hip hop based beats. Have you? For my question, sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
But I was thinking about this when I first started seeing you. Obviously, the hip hop was what you were doing in the freestyle, and I think I caught on to you through Eyedea. And over the years, the evolution of you've kind of gotten a little bit darker and a little bit more mood into the theme. Has that always been something that's been attached to you? Growing up as a kid, were you into like scary movies and shit like that, or is this something that kind of evolved?
I've had a bunch of different phases and kind of cocoons throughout my life. I always had a deep need to create, and I was always an emotional little baby. Some, you know, like I always struggled with things that were upsetting, and I had, you know, some bad luck along the way. Not compared to other people, but just like in my personal little bubble of life.
Yeah.
And that was my way of dealing with it. So I've always had that. I have home videos of when I was a very small kid, and I'm drawing pictures of monsters and I'm laying them out on the floor and I'm putting them in different orders. And it's like pretty much what I'm still doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's always been in me. But, you know, I wanted to play college basketball. And then in college, I was going to be a psychologist. I was looking into PhD programs for psychology, and then pivoted to music. And it was right after my father passed away. And he passed away right before I graduated school. And it was most important to him out of anybody in my life by far, including me at the time. So it was kind of like a bittersweet thing. And I was just extra lost, even in addition to just getting right out of college is kind of like you know, it's like when they just drop you in the middle of the field in Elden Ring and you're supposed to fucking figure it out. Yeah. But I ended up skipping an interview for a PhD program at Syracuse to play a very not awesome show in Seattle. And looking back now, I realize like that was the pivotal moment that I didn't realize at the time at all. I knew it was foolish to skip that. But I didn't really think about it that hard. So I just kind of went into that. My first album got finished right before I graduated. So it was like my dad passed, album finished, graduated. So we didn't really get to see like any of the beginning of that. But, you know, if you would have met me at a certain point, I would have probably, you know, been in some more of a studious field, but I'm really glad I'm not. I don't think I would be particularly good at it. I don't know. Yeah. I think I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, well, we're really glad you made that decision because we've gotten
some bangers out of you.
You know, almost 2 decades of great music out of you, and obviously that's a selfish thing as a fan to say.
2 decades, that's crazy.
Almost, right? That's crazy.
Amazing.
I haven't heard a phrase like that yet, but you're right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That being said, who is behind a lot of your artwork on the covers of all your albums they've been producing? Like, where are you getting this?
I kind of mark things and artists and, a mood board on Pinterest, if you will. Now, it depends on the project. For Alters in particular, Michael Husser, having him do that artwork.
It's dope.
Is by far like the biggest honor I've had. He's an incredible. I think he's the best. He's my favorite living painter by far. Lapel du Vide, that's a real painting too. That is a incredibly sweet man. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name right now. But he's a Spanish guy, really sweet, and he's the only living person that has a painting in the Prado Museum. To get an idea of how good he is.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's an honor.
Yeah, so he allowed me to use that. It was so sweet, and I flew him out to a show in Europe. And he drew this. He painted me this super ill, like one of a kind, like Satan that I have in the house. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty tight.
Yeah, Ignacio Trellis.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I just found him.
While we're on the
Shout out Ignacio.
While we're on the topic, what kind of stuff are you putting yourself through listening to lately that you're actually taking time to take in, and what do you think that we probably should be hearing that we're not hearing?
You're tricking me into promoting other people. No,
don't do it. Don't do it. No, just put us on something low key, that you really like.
I really, really love the production on the new JPEG. There's certain things that I'm drawn to. I'm really into structure and change and kind of ADD rap or music that's just constantly growing and layers are peeling off, or maybe change ups, hopefully it shows in some of my stuff. But JPEG Mafia, that part of my brain for music, like it just hits all of it. And I think he's a really, really brilliant producer.
Yeah, he's dope.
I've been listening to some old stuff, like rock. I've been really into Songs Ohio lately. After Steve Albini died, I just kind of was digging into a lot more of those bands that I hadn't listened to in a long time. So kind of went on a kick of that. Schoolboy Q. On an underground level, Cavalier, his new album.
He's good.
Yeah.
I don't know how I hadn't heard of him. I was unfortunately asleep, and I saw people talking about that.
Same with us. We're kind of new on him as well.
Okay, so it's forgivable.
It's forgivable,
man.
Sure. But he's great.
Okay, yeah, but when I heard it, it made me feel like, holy fuck, how have I been sleeping? He's really, really good.
Yeah, Pep Love actually turned us on to him from Hieroglyphics. Shout out to Pep Love. And
that's always a great feeling to have, especially as we've gotten older and finding new music is always tough. As you get older, and you always want to be drawn to the older stuff. So when you do find something new that you're like, how the fuck did I miss this? How did this slip through? It's a good and bad feeling.
So much music. It's so vast out there.
Oversaturated now, I feel like.
As a creator,
to a degree.
I pay really close attention to my creative diet, what I'm taking in, what I'm not. Doesn't mean my body's an artistic temple and I can only take in fucking Fellini movies or whatever. I consume plenty of artistic junk food. I love it. But some artists take in so much, in my opinion, that they lose their own gut, they lose their own instincts, whatever makes them them, and they end up trend chasing, and then you always end up a step behind because the younger people are who make the trends. That's how trends work. And then there's that, or the people. Or you can, how do I put it? I lost my train of thought there.
Well, I don't want to interrupt you, but while you're right there, how do you prevent yourself
from I'm sorry, I know where I was going with that. I know. I've known some people who have been good artists who have told me just out loud, I don't listen to any of this new shit. It's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. It's whack. It's mumble rap.
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember certain people telling me that and then thinking, oh, your music's going to get really stale. Not saying it, but thinking it, and it happens, where it's some people are so closed off that they don't allow new input or data or things. Cause it's maybe you reject 95% of it. You're I don't like any of this shit, but there's something there. There's always something, almost always something of value to in people's art, you know.
It's
Definitely. I think
it's so wild. He says it though because, like I said, we've interviewed Soul, and Soul himself has said that.
Well,
he doesn't close his ears to any type of music. He he lets in a lot. And he expects, you would think that
I think it's important to the creative process to be able to be open and hear everything.
Just to give it a try.
That way you kind of have a gauge of where you're at and what direction you want to head. Hey, I don't like that. I don't want to head that direction. Or, hey, I like that. What I always found.
Don't take it to the point where you lose your identity.
Exactly.
Don't wash yourself
and if you are the kind of person where you lose your identity from that, like you're probably not going to.
You're not going to make it
anyway.
Feeling's
pretty low anyway.
Don't overwash yourself in somebody else's music.
And what Matt was saying, we always found it very interesting that as we were growing up, like
my ears were closed.
We were so into like conscious hip hop and backpack hip hop that we thought that everything else was like, oh, you can't listen to that. And then when we've talked to Soul, we've been lucky enough to talk to these hip hop artists that we've looked up to for so long that we thought that they set that trend, that standard, but they were always listening to everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was like we were the ones that were missing out.
I've been there too. Like that's part of like the underground hip hop fans like progression. I feel, some people only progress to certain levels and they're happy there, and God bless them, whatever. But I think that's more of a result of our own egos, because I've done it too, where it's like one thing people have told me a lot that kind of makes me feel weird is like they're like, I really like you're smart rap. Or like I only listen to smart rap, and it's like, that feels a little weird, and this is really about you, even though you don't realize
it's like
it
a backwards
at the time.
compliment,
So like back in the day, where it's like I only listen to Immortal Technique and da ba da ba da, and it's like okay, we get it, like you're super smart, but like it's cool, like you could listen to like Return of the Mac too, like
for sure,
or whatever it is, but it's also when you're younger. What music you listen to is like such a indelible part of your identity that I think you kind of protect it more, where you're like, even if part of you's like, I kind of like it, you're like, no, bury it. Like I'm this guy, right? Like I'm this person. This is how I navigate social situations.
Yeah. I also find it interesting now that I find it, I like to hear people having fun with their music, and you can tell that they're enjoying what they're doing by having fun with it. When back then, when I was in that mind state, I always felt like you had to stay so serious all the time, and if you weren't serious, you were disrespecting the art, or you're doing something wrong. But now it's like I love fun music. And especially becoming a father and having kids and shit, you kind of grow up and you're like, oh yeah, it is fun to have fun. Let's just have fun. Why we gotta be so serious all the time?
Yeah. I'll like forever be angsty, so I still like the serious stuff. Like
love it. Yeah,
I hear you, but like it depends on the band, right? Like one of the reasons why the Beatles don't appeal to me, which I know is what a douchebag opinion, but like they have so much fun sometimes that I just fucking can't stand it.
Too much fun.
like if I don't want Radiohead to have, I want Radiohead to like, cry in a puddle and then write something about it. Like depending on who it is, I try. For me personally, having some fun with certain things is like a release valve, and it makes me come back and write more, and I just create better. When I first started, I was so dead set on just it being perfect and that kind of shit, a young man's game. And it took me a while to realize it could be a little crippling. It was a benefit for me. It helped. I wouldn't change anything, but I adjusted that drastically over the years, and it really helped my process, and I just enjoy it more. I used to believe that I'm sad guy. I'm arbiter of fucking despondency or whatever, and I thought I had to be like something bad had to happen in life for me to write, or I had to be struck by lightning by the creativity.
Yes. Got to be motivated to make those moves, huh? That'd be wild.
Yeah, it took me too long to realize it's like, no, it's like you have something in your head that you filter things through, and sometimes inspiration happens, sometimes it doesn't, but you have it just like other people have their thing.
Growing up as a kid, when you found new music, were you gatekeeper style, or were you the type of person that wanted to let everybody know, I got this dope ass song, I want you to hear it?
I'm the kid that I had a friend who I could burn CDs at, but I knew the music, and so I downloaded Necro's I Need Drugs when I was in 9th grade. Nice. I put on a blank CD and I gave it to a buddy of mine who's a bit into softer things. And he came back the next day and he's like, what the fuck, dude? My mom like screamed at me. She broke it in front of me. Like, why would you give me that? So I was always trying to put people on. I still am. And,
Hey, that's a classic track,
you
though.
know,
How do you?
my wife I'll be like, you gotta hear this fucking Dark Throne song. And she'll be like, okay. And she'll entertain me. But it's like, I'm like, no, I know. Like, especially when I'm drinking, I'm like, oh, I know you're hearing this, but what if I point this part out? Like, will it click? And no, it doesn't.
You know, it's funny. I was in the car with my wife the other day, and I was listening to your album with No, and I was pointing out. I was like, listen to the production and listen to how his lyrics match the production. And I was like showing her, and she's like, yeah. It sounds great.
Yeah.
It sounds cool.
That's such an honor, because it's like that's when you're passionate about it. It's like I want you to hear what I'm hearing, because the feeling I get from it. I want to share it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you want other people to feel. You want them to understand that mood that it's putting you into, and the way the music is touching you. You want it to touch them as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just don't read the room. Like I show my wife like Muay Thai knockouts. I'm like, you gotta check this out. And it's like, bro, she's never gonna like, get excited by someone getting kneed in the face.
For sure.
How did that all come about? You meeting I think Adam from Wiccaphase. How did that come about for you guys to make something special happen like that?
Man, I wish I had a better story for you. I'm a big fan of his music. I really love the album Suffer On. Just love it. I also really appreciate his style of writing, lyric-wise. But I reached out to his manager. Most boring story. His manager happened to know me because we met at one of my shows when I was headlining in New York City. And I didn't realize who he was at the time. So I guess I just emailed him cold, and he was like, oh, I know you, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're cool. What's up? And that was pretty much it. And, but we actually haven't even gotten to meet him or anything. And, but I do think that's a great song.
That song's awesome.
Like,
Elysium,
Elysium,
great song.
Elysium's a great album.
Yeah, that whole
period.
album is fucking awesome.
And you've stayed so consistent with all of your albums. I mean, even back with the Fake 4 stuff. I want to get more into your new stuff, but going into the Fake 4 albums, Ultraviolet, that just turned 10 this year. So I mean,
yeah, you got the shirt.
Yeah, I got the shirt
for. You're already my favorite one.
I mean, hey,
nice. I'm sorry, guys.
He said the least too. What's this guy doing back there?
he's put the least work in.
But you got the shirt though. He's winning. He's winning.
Shout out to Fake 4. Shout out to
Chesky,
Ultraviolet.
Huge Chesky fans. Yeah, we've been lucky enough to talk to him. So it's.
I mean, you had Eyedea on that album. I mean, I know you had a friendship with Eyedea, and we're very close to him. Do you have any memories of making that album?
So when I think about Ultraviolet, kind of like going back on what I said earlier about having this perfectionist frame of mind, that went into Flowers to My Father. You know,
great album.
Balancing Act took 3 years. Thank you. Flowers to My Father took years, particularly the. Sorry, I have a little bit of slur. I just got a Invisalign today.
Oh.
So if
nice. I can't even tell. I can't see it.
You got grills.
Invisible. That's the invis part. But with the subject matter and title of Flowers to My Father, I really put a lot of pressure on myself for the perfectionism thing. Right when that was done, I was kind of reacting to. I had a kind of a delayed artistic reaction to losing my father. That was Flowers, and then while that was coming out, I had a really bad 3 days, and one of them was Eyedea's passing, where I was there in Minnesota when that happened. And so right after Flowers, I was still like, on a personal level, like more fucked up than I'd been in a long time, just in a bad place. But I kind of adopted this. I started like believing in myself and my instincts more, and I allowed myself to have a little bit more fun. So Ultraviolet, songs like Nowhere, for me, that was total fun. That was me being mixtape Wayne, just fucking rapping, whatever, And I realized that, and I was kind of scared of that, a little nervous because my stuff's so serious. This one's about my father, waiting for the tragedy. And it's like, I don't want to be the tragic person. I don't want to be the guy that's the conduit for like sadness. Like I do in a way, but not only that, it's like, it's kind of a miserable thing. It's a miserable expectation for people to have of you.
Yeah.
So Ultraviolet, I kind of let loose, and I made a conscious decision to write and try to record every day. But every single day, it's like, yo, I'm writing fucking 16 at least. And even if I like 4 bars, it's great, dude. Do that fucking every day. Like, you got more verses than you can handle. Even if it takes me 4 hours, every day.
4 bars.
And so right after the day Flowers came out, I went to Home Depot and I bought dark purple paint. It's a room kind of looks similar size to when you guys are in. Painted the walls, put soundproofing shit up, and started Ultraviolet immediately. And there was no natural lighting, so in hindsight, I wish I would have done more of a violet. You know what I mean? It was it was very like,
purple.
Aggressive. Yeah, I felt like a troglodyte after a while, but yeah. So I just painted the room. I was like, this is it, and I just every single day. But I was having fun with it, and that's kind of what I think of when I think of Ultraviolet, because it came out, I don't know, like 9 months after, and that's when I really hit a groove and just started trusting myself. You know, not thinking about the shot, just pull the trigger. You know, like I was thinking about basketball when I said that. It sounded more violent out loud. But yeah, that's kind of what I think with that. And since then, pretty much every year I've released something. So I've enjoyed that process more, and it's I learn more about what I like and more about what my own patterns I fall into. You know, so if it's like you make something every day, you know what it sounds like when you're doing an impression of yourself, or it's like, oh, here's the average fucking Sadistik verse. You just did it. It's like, do you want that or do you want something dope? Like, do you want something, you know what I mean?
Different. For sure.
Yeah.
Great album. You mentioned Eyedea, and I mean, got the opportunity to see him perform live a number of times. I mean, one of the best lyricists of all time. I mean, how did he shape your own career and your own way of writing songs and your own lyricism?
So I first heard him like many people through Atmosphere. I was a teenager. I drove to Seattle to see Atmosphere. I'd heard of Eyedea and Abilities, but I hadn't known their music yet. It was before E&A came out. Eyedea came out, and I didn't know what he looked like. And I was like, what the fuck? And it's so fun. I'm like a teenage white guy who's dying to be a rapper. And he walks out, and my stupid smooth brain was like, look at this corny white guy.
He ain't no rapper.
And then he came out and just, this thought lasted like a millisecond, bro. And came out and just boom. And I was like, and it was a perfect storm of him being the prodigious person he is, me being kind of at the right place, certain age where I felt like I needed I wanted a certain kind of substance in lyrics I couldn't find yet. Yeah. And I found it in live. And he specifically, when he did Even Shadows Have Shadows, and a lot of people have this story, did that live. He started a cappella, and like I was slack-jawed. I was just like, I didn't know words could fucking rock you like this, you know? And I was a kid who like was checking out poetry books when I was like 12 years old, you know, like, and I was just like, it blew my mind. And his physical performance of rapping, like the physical act of rapping, not like his body movement, but it was pretty mind-bending.
He pours everything. He pours it all into it. It seemed like when we seen him live.
Yeah. And like he played Now before it came out, the song Now.
So fast.
Dude,
I wasn't familiar with it clearly at all, and it just melted my fucking brain. I was like, holy shit, man, I've never seen someone rap like that.
Yeah. I saw that first on the it was the Seven Travels tour. Atmosphere, Eyedea and Abilities, and a number of others were there. But man, when he did that song live,
I remember. I was at that same show. We were in Frisco at the Fillmore, and I remember thinking vividly, like, because I went into it thinking I knew what hip hop was, and I had this grand idea of this is what hip hop is, and then I seen Eyedea and Abilities work together, and I was like,
God.
No. That is what fucking hip hop is. That DJ.
He worked the beat off the
DJ. Feels like I'm running in place. Like when he was doing the scratch.
Nothing but space in front of my face. Feels like I'm running in place.
Sideways, and he was doing like a slow-mo, like Cabbage Patch Running Man. type joint, and I was just like, this is so crazy,
stupid. Yeah, and I've said it on this podcast.
My first impression of him.
Yeah,
him live is amazing. He's always amazing.
He's always been and has been my favorite hip hop artist of all time, and I've been very lucky to
seen him live.
Not just seen him live, but
he's
just
been your favorite.
Yeah, Eyedea has been. Yeah, he was. Well, since I've seen him first, I think we seen him 2002. That was when I really got into it, and then obviously when you do a deep dive into somebody like that, and
it might have been the same tour as me.
Probably.
They're not me, but like me as a
yeah. Because he did the same thing.
Was that with the Blueprint and like Grayskull?
Yep. That's the same one.
That's exactly what it was.
Too. We got our minds blown at the same time.
He did the same thing. He did because one of my favorite songs was Even Shadows Have Shadows. It was coming off of the We Came From Beyond mixtape, and it blew my mind hearing that song. And so when we seen it live, he did the acapella version, and then Abilities brings the beat in and blah blah blah. When I saw that, it was the first time I realized, I was like, there is a whole different world of hip hop that I haven't even entered into yet. And he brought me into it. And I was very lucky just to be able to be in that generation and be there and it's a moment in time that
people say that they wish they were at.
Huge,
and we were there.
Yeah. Right.
And it's crazy to think that, like you say, to be there.
Yeah.
And he was there, and like that whole tour was just perfect. He did the magic.
Yeah.
When he did that, Even Shadows Have Shadows, he does the magic trick.
Yeah.
And he brings you in acapella, and then he knows how amazing.
Charismatic as fuck,
exactly.
too. Yeah.
He was charismatic too. I remember when I would first tour with him, I'd be like, he's like, when you throw bread to a duck, it's like people just go, they just flood to him.
Yeah.
Even if he can play, even if he's the merch guy, it's like
he's an entertainer, man. He'll draw you in.
All right, I got a YouTube short for you.
Yeah, hit it.
We're on tour in 2009, 10 maybe. But I think I told him I really love Even Shadows Have Shadows. I basically told the truncated version what I just told you, and I was like, that was one of those songs that kind of changed the way I saw things. I appreciate it. And I was like, that's crazy. You were 19 when you wrote that. Because he says, all 19 years of my life have been in conflict with myself. Yeah. And he was like laying in the back of the van, laying all like crunched in. He's like, no. He's like, I was 17. 19 just flowed better. I was like, okay.
Asshole.
That's so
like, all right. Like the songs I wrote when I was 17 were fucking terrible.
We're terrible. Yeah. When you listen to
it's a ballot.
When you listen to the Sixth Sense stuff and you're like, this kid was 15 years old and he's writing that. I mean, because a lot of stuff that ended up on Firstborn was off of that Sixth Sense stuff too.
Yeah.
And to hear the original version of that stuff, you're like, how and why and like, how are you so far ahead of time?
There's not to compare it to myself, but my process or because I had a history long before even like my first album came out. You know what I mean? I had all these like, I want to be a punchline rapper at one point, and like these other things. I was like slinging mixtapes in high school that never hit the internet thing, thankfully. But I felt very much a need to prove myself all the time. Like, yo, like I'm worthy of being in this majestic. Sorry, I have a Rottweiler that's very loud.
What's his name?
It's Damien.
Damien. Shout out Damien.
End of this month. Yeah, check.
He's gonna eat somebody.
Yeah, let me show you for the podcast.
Yeah, get him in there. Shout out Damien.
Shit, where is it? Yeah, today I made a flyer for his 10th birthday.
Nice. Happy birthday, Damien!
Oh, happy birthday!
Yeah. I'm gonna cook him I was cooking him a steak on his birthday, but this is the 10th birthday for a Rottweiler. Like we gotta go big.
We're going big. He's an old dog now.
Yeah.
Shout out to Damien.
Get him a baked potato, huh?
You released Bring Me Back When the World Is Cured in 2022 with KNO, your guys' second album. When did you first cross paths with CunninLynguists and then go about collaborating with KNO? Because, I mean, your guys' work together, like you guys mesh so well. I hope it's not your last album together. But how did that go about?
It's funny because originally when I reached out, he kind of fronted on me because I was associated with somebody who approached me for a tour when I first started.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, sounds great. And he's pitching me at other people. and he gave them a really like unprofessional pitch.
Yeah.
With my name attached to it.
Not cool.
So unbeknownst to me, he like kind of associated me with being lame. So at first he didn't respond to me or whatever. And Death is Silent, thank you. Death is Silent came out the same year as Art of Dying, and they have kind of similar tones and themes.
Yeah.
Sound very different, obviously.
Yeah,
Death
for
is
sure.
Silent's amazing. My wife loved Death is Silent long before I met her. But so he probably got tagged and you know, there's probably comparisons, so it might have rubbed him a little weird at first. So it was never weird with us, we never talked, but then eventually I forgot what did it. Actually the first time we spoke was actually the day after Eyedea passed away. I was in Minnesota, but I don't even know if he even knows that. But yeah, but then the irony of that, him briefly frowning on me, is that he's one of the first and only people that's in a higher position than me to like basically say, you know, I fuck with you, you're dope, like let's do something.
Yeah.
My whole progression came with a whole lot of people I admired or listened to their music just like really fronting on me. So
yeah,
I very much appreciate it when people are open-minded or, you know, if they have a mutual respect.
Oh man, CunninLynguists go super hard. When I first heard Mike Like a Memory, I mean that was a game changer. Was it Will
amazing.
Rap for Food?
I bootlegged their CD, Piece of Strange. It's the first time I listened to them. I bootlegged it off of an old website, rapmusic.com.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. For sure, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Old school.
That's
You
where
gotta
I
be a
first heard
thug
them, and then I liked
to
it so
type
much
that
I
in.
felt guilty. And I had a buddy. I was like 16. I had a buddy who had a birthday, who knew nothing about him, and I felt guilty. I was like, this album's dope, so I just bought him that album before his birthday. I was like, check this shit out.
Banger.
So that was the first time I ever heard them.
Wild Wild West days.
You never think that like years, you know, fucking 15, 20 years later or whatever. They're like brothers to me.
That's amazing.
One of my
earlier.
favorite songs from you is Castles. That's fucking.
That's a CunninLynguists song.
That's what I'm saying. That song's amazing. Like, where did that sample come from?
Asking the wrong guy.
I thought maybe you were there.
All I know is Noah's like, you're gonna be on this album. And
that shit's so good, dude. You and working with Aesop too. That's amazing, man. All around.
I don't remember if I said it first or him, but I already wanted to be on the Ace song.
Yeah.
And he already had that idea, so I was
perfectly meshed together.
Really honored for that.
You guys sound great together.
Big Aesop in the spirit of promoting other people. I'm a huge Aesop believer. He's such an incredible writer.
I mean, he's a great lyricist, but you also are very diverse with your lyrics, and I mean, really, you keep up with them. You can keep up with them.
I'll take it. He could be my
in Castles. You do
in Mario Kart, the ghost that has the best score that you're trying to beat.
Yeah.
He's the one you're chasing.
Yeah.
I need those people. I wish there were more, to be honest. But Aesop and Lupe are two people that when I hear them, when they drop something, I'm like, I gotta get better, bro. Like, I'm not there yet. Like, I haven't hit my. I gotta find another level.
And Lupe gives big respect to Aesop Rock and vice versa. You know, and they have have made music together too.
Me, bro. Did you see what he said?
Yeah.
About me?
What?
Yeah.
Getting after my boy.
He put me on his list of people he studies. He said
Tell
the
him.
best lyrics.
Hell yeah.
Well,
definitely.
you definitely are, and that's not just praise coming from us. I mean, you are one of, and if you listen to any of your work, you are one of the best lyricists when it comes to putting together and rhyme scheme and structure of the way that you structure your verses and stuff like that. Has this been something that has, obviously it's evolved, but is it something that you're constantly working on? Obviously writing music is constantly putting in the work, but are you constantly thinking of new ways to change it up? Because you talked about you love music where you could pull back the layers, and your music is definitely something that is layered upon layer upon layer, and you do a lot of change up and switch up in the style and verses, and then also in the production. Is this something that you've been really, really working on and crafting, and how much talk about a little bit about that blood, sweat, and tears that went into this? I mean,
most importantly to me, it's the music, it's the feel, it's the mood, because there are a lot of people who are amazing rappers who I don't enjoy their music. Maybe I'll still listen to it because their rapping's that good.
Yeah.
But that's not what I want to be. So for me, like the music and the vibe and the way it makes you feel, what it makes you see, I'm really into visual things. That's why I appreciate when you compare it to movies and things. But once you get past that part, I'm very competitive, and I want to be. I believe I'm one of those guys in my heart. Like, it doesn't matter if other people believe it or not, but like, there's very few people that can do what I can do technically. There are some people I admire that I'm still like, oh, I hope I get to that level. But I'm truly at a point. I absolutely have my 10,000 hours in at this point. I've been writing pretty much daily since I was 13 years old. And I always want to like add to it. I always want to like not fall into patterns too much, try to add tools, evolve it a little bit, make little tweaks on what's next, you know, like ramp up the visuals a little bit, turn down the personal woe was me shit, you know, like things like that. But I'm constantly thinking about it and tweaking it. I actually have a project coming out in the fall, a new album that it's gonna come off like I made it really quickly because it's a second full album in a year, but it's actually the culmination of about 3 years of music.
Oh wow.
Nice. Yeah, and it even shows in the lyrics actually. And it's kind of reflected in the structure. So like one of the early songs, it's like there's a reference to being about to get married, and it's like I've been married for a couple of years now, so it's like it shows that this has been kind of a process. But
you got a name for that project yet?
I do, but I can't share that one.
We'll be the first to hear. When you want to drop it, you let us know, and we'll let everybody else know.
Yeah.
Hey man,
how do you?
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you keep yourself or like genuine to yourself? Like you said, I mean, taking in so much music and listening to so many things, and over the years, trying not to wash yourself from the product of what you've already created, and staying, like you said, you can have a sadistic, you know, simple verse, or you can have one that's, you know, killing it, which I understand. I see it all over. I see artists that fall apart, though, after so many years.
Sadistic simple verse is still killing them.
Yeah, of course. But what I'm saying is I see some of my favorite artists, and I'm sure that they just change the recipe, and it's not my flavor anymore. How do you keep your audience still going and being like, you know what, I'm going to change it a little bit here, but I'm not going to, because you don't leave. I'm still
I
a
think
big
I have
fan.
a unique combination of things where I have a technical skill set that I actively cultivate, you know, but also my tastes and my instincts and things that I think are cool. I very much feel it. I'm not easily swayed. I try to be open-minded to things, but like I know what I think is dope. This applies to everything. I'm a huge movie fan. I know exactly what I want, what I think is cool, and that particular combination is specific to me. There's not the kind of things I reference, the combination of the things I reference, and the style of it, and just kind of like the type of sounds I like, the kind of hypnotic, you know, the certain combination is niche, and it's specifically. It's just a specific thing that I have.
And it meshes so perfectly. Dude, how did you get your track?
It's hard to get features. It's hard to find. Sometimes be like, yo, you should get a feature. And it's like,
yeah.
On what song? Like, not that it's like better or anything than anybody else, but it's a specific thing where like certain projects, like Haunted Gardens, for example, and this new one that's going to come out. It's like, there weren't any features on purpose, but it's also like this isn't something that I don't think fits with other people, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so specific that
somebody
I stopped even looking for features for certain things. It's like,
somebody might not compliment what you're working with there. Yeah.
And you don't want to be just throwing people on it just to throw them on it, just to get somebody on a track, and then it kind of messes with the flow of things.
And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. Like, it's specific and specific things. Like, some people can hear 30 seconds of my music and instantly know, like, they're like, no, not for me at all. And like, I totally get it.
Yeah.
But with niche things, it's like for the people that it might resonate with.
Not only that, I mean, you're working on something so hard, and then you're just gonna let someone come on real quick. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, you put so much time and effort into
it's a certain,
and then they get, you know what I mean? It's like having a really nice car. You work so hard on it, and this guy gets in with muddy shoes, and he doesn't respect what you've done. You know what I mean? It's like he didn't respect what you've built there. You know, so I get what you're saying.
It's a certain niche sound.
And those things are hard to gauge. Unless you're in person, it's hard to gauge how much someone respects you or how much they give a shit about things like features. Like some people just always slaughter features, and it's like I love rappers like that. It's like I know they have pride. That's an obvious sense.
Yeah.
They take it as a challenge when you say, "Hey, I want you to be on this track."
Yeah,
exactly.
Yo,
if someone sends me a song, even if they're like a good buddy of mine, like I want to kill them.
For sure.
That's the nicest thing I could do for them.
That's the competitive part.
That's the best gift you could give them, though, is to just straight shit on what they want. Yeah, for sure.
Only make them better. Only make them better.
Making the song better as well. Yeah.
How did you get your track, "The Moon Smiled Back at Me," involved with the A24 film "Talk to Me," which is one of the scariest movies, if not the scariest movie of last year? I mean, and then I see Sadistik.
I remember calling
you. The track is the main song for the movie.
Right in the beginning, when they're walking in the hallway, going to start fucking with the hand, I called you. I go, "There's a fucking Sadistik track in this damn movie."
Makes it even better, man.
It was amazing.
How did that go about happening?
Honestly, like any cool opportunity that happens, it's always just so organically when it comes to me. Danny Philippou, obviously one of the two directors of the movie.
Yeah.
He used to comment on my socials.
Nice.
And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy with like 500,000?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
That's so sick.
Like supportive emojis, you know what I mean? I'm like, who is this? I text my nephew, who's younger than me and more in tune with the YouTube world.
Yeah.
And he's like, holy shit, I love that fucking guy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And I messaged him, and I was on tour in Switzerland with Cunnin, and Danny and I jumped on a FaceTime and just chatted, and he was a big fan since the Balancing Act, which is very interesting because his personality, he's so like positive. He's like the human embodiment of the color yellow. He's like he's an Aussie with a thick accent, and he's just like a super energetic, almost like a charismatic cartoon character. So it's really interesting to me that he loves the Balancing Act so much and like the really like depressive things I've made.
Yeah.
But anyways, we started chatting and immediately bonded over horror movies. And I told him I want to direct horror films. He said he wants to direct horror films. We started pitching ideas back and forth. I read early versions of his pitch. I read Talk to Me when it was a 6-page pitch before he even wrote it. And I'm like, this is dope. I believe in you. And I believed him from the jump because he has really great taste in horror. And I could gauge that like pretty quick. And then his previous work, just his YouTube stuff, just reeks of like technical skill. So I knew that combination of taste and skill, and the passion he has as a person. It's like, I already believed in him. But over, years are going by, he's developing it. At one point, like some of my screenplay ideas were in the same pitch pile as his that he was bringing to these studios. But he went indie with it in Australia, kind of fast forward. He basically just FaceTimed me, says, "Can I record this?" And, when he says that, it's like something good's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it, bud. And I'm like trying to fix my fucking hair. And he's like, this is, I'm blanking on her name, I want to say Sam, but she's the producer of Babadook and the producer of Talk to Me.
Okay.
And he's like, she loves Moon Smile Back to Me. I love Moon Smile Back to Me. Can we use it in the movie? And I was like, yeah, go for it. We never had a discussion about anything business. I was just like, awesome, man. Like, can't wait to see what comes out of it. Like, kill it. Like, talk to you soon, bro.
Hell yeah.
And then I don't know how long goes by. A certain amount goes by. Calls me again. Yo, can I record this? Oh, shit. Oh, what are you going to do, bro? Are you in a private plane at LAX picking me up? Like, I don't fucking know with you, like anything can happen with him. He's like, we got in Sundance. Oh, sick.
That's crazy.
And so I got invited to go, but it was like so late that like nothing was available. And then, as you may know, screened once at Sundance, within an hour, A24 gave them the offer. I see the news, and I was just like, I was sitting 5 feet from where I'm sitting right now, and my jaw dropped.
That's awesome.
And I looked at my wife, I was like, my music's gonna be in a fucking A24 movie.
That's so dope.
And yeah, it was cool. So I flew out to South by Southwest to see the premiere months before it came out, and I got really nervous because I went solo, and I was in this just room full of all these like, you know, movie people, and I was nervous. There's an open bar, so I was just drinking and you know, like just getting approached by dudes talking about my tattoos and stuff. But it really blew my mind when I first saw it, and I'm just super proud of them. And yeah, that was a very long answer to totally organic.
Perfect.
It was so organic where like he could have done the thing where it's like, oh, A24 did it, we're gonna hit up Glass Animals, or you know what I mean? Like he could have done that, but we'd still be friends, you know. Yeah. But he picked me because he likes me.
He was a fan since day one. That's amazing.
Well, not just only that, your music is
great.
Is built
Amazing.
for that.
Yes.
Yeah, as simple as can be,
Built
that
for
track fits perfectly with that scene. Like,
thank you.
right when
I
they're
mean,
showing up, and
one of the most common comments I've gotten my whole, whatever you call this thing, is, wow, your shit's cinematic. It should be in movies.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, yeah, I agree. Like let's do it. And so Danny was the first person to like put his, you know, actually execute with that and believe it.
Yeah.
I could really see you doing more with that.
We would love to see more.
Dude.
Yeah. Oh, there's a Talk to Me sequel.
Oh
Maybe.
man, it was so scary. I literally almost had to leave because my girlfriend was so scared she wanted to leave.
Dude,
we stuck it out. We watched it, but she was so fucking scared that, you know.
It's good.
But, hey man, as we wind down here,
I'm so proud of them. Like,
yeah,
I believed in them from the jump, but then when I saw it, I was like. Yeah, I thought you'd be good, but I didn't think it'd be like that.
It's amazing.
Like,
bro, it's wicked. The ending is wicked. No spoilers. It's
surpassed
wicked.
my expectations, and I fully expected him to kill it. You know, regardless.
That's
of what
awesome,
yeah.
especially when it's somebody that you're friends with, and somebody that you know you put the belief in, and you see it actually pay off. You're like, oh fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
I want to see Pet Cemetery in a movie next. That's what the track I want to see in a fucking movie next. That one, I see
for
it.
Crazy Bone.
Yeah.
I was gonna pitch that to Crazy Bone because I did an interview with him.
yeah.
He was like, we should do something, and so I started that to pitch to him, and that's why I have like references. I say ruthless, and I have these kind of like little Easter eggs to like evil Bone songs, you know. But that didn't work out until later. But
Well, that was great that you guys finally got together, though.
Oh, dude. All the colors.
Yeah. How was that working with? Did you guys do that? Did you guys get together and get in the studio, or was that?
I wasn't in person.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
The only time I met him was the interview we did, but he's a really cool guy.
Yeah,
Seems
both
like it.
thugs.
I could tell a lot. I could tell a lot by how they treat who I'm with, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes people will be nice to you and they treat your girl a little weird or ignore her or whatever. Like, Crazy was one of those people who was like very sweet, very like courteous and gracious to my girl, and like, you guys were talking about Chino XL earlier. One of the things that I'll always remember about him is my now wife being like, out of all the rappers you've introduced me to, like, he might be the sweetest person I've ever met.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is cool.
That's one of our favorite things, is being able to do this podcast and being such fans of the underground hip hop scene for so long, and being able to talk to people like you and people being so relatable and cool and approachable and all those great things. It's not what you expect, because you always hear these horror stories of talking and meeting people that you've looked up to for so long.
Aren't we sick of the douchebag archetype? Aren't we?
Isn't it weird?
Sure.
Yeah.
Aren't we sick of making kings out of people who spit on us when they get on the pedestal? Like, isn't it exhausting?
It's crazy. It's crazy, man.
I'm not into it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's very refreshing when you meet
And it
people
shows how
that
chill
are
you
very
are,
genuine and relatable, and you're able to have conversations with them, and I think that
give people something to believe in.
Thank you.
Like, stand on your fucking business. Like, have your beliefs. It's very profitable to have annoying, stupid ass hot take beliefs these days. Like, you know, like, but I think everything swings that way. That's like, you know, people are getting millionaires off of being douchebags, but I always believe that people are unattracted to that, and they want something that you could actually sink your teeth into, that feels authentic a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
There's something more.
They can see some of themselves in. It's like some of these people that they're like, oh, here's our king or queen. It's like, do you see any of yourself in that at all? They got like $2 million on their fucking body. What of yourself?
What's relatable? Yeah, what's relatable in that situation?
I don't get it.
Nothing.
I don't know.
Dude, as we wind down here, I know we've had you a lot longer than we were supposed to.
We've winded down twice with
but
you. But
I mean, it's been an excellent conversation. Two-parter here. Favorite horror movie of all time, and then second question: what does hip hop mean to you in a short little summary?
First answer, I'm gonna give a small list. I'm sorry,
Dang.
but these are the sacred ones. The Shining, Evil Dead 2, Rosemary's Baby, Cannibal Holocaust, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and The Exorcist.
Ooh, classic,
Nice,
all
nice.
classics. Yeah.
I like on a personal level, I put Martyrs in there and Suspiria.
It's a good one.
What's hip hop mean to me? It's a beautiful art form that I'm honored to be a drop in the ocean of. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about like, I don't want to go too long, sorry, but like earlier you were kind of talking about being exposed to these very artistic, experimental, left field rap, and it's kind of like blowing your mind. A lot of times people are exposed to that first, and then they're not able to see value in old school rap or more like violent rap or blah blah blah. Like when I grew up, I fell in love with like the violent gangster rap and just kind of like that kind of stuff from my older brother, and I appreciated like Tupac, and I was so like obsessed with these things, and I found so much depth in it, even though it was so far away from my reality. But then I found kind of the more left field artsy stuff. So people usually assume I'm inspired by certain artists that I was already kind of doing stuff before I even discovered a lot of that, but I'm kind of grateful that I discovered it in that order. So I have like a basis of appreciation for like that really like classic, old school shit.
It is crazy how much, I mean, it makes sense now why we're such big fans of your music and your work, because the relatability of, you know, how you found Eyedea at the same show that we found Eyedea.
Same steps.
How we came up, we listened to Brother Lynch Hung, X-Rated, SIBO, all these guys. That was our come up into rap music. That was because we're from Lodi, Stockton area, which is and that was kind of our like come up. So we had that same experience, and so we were able to respect the conscious stuff that much more when we were able to look back at it. So,
and it's a guilty pleasure.
Like something I say often is this is basically my way of old man yells at cloud, but it's like it's very easy to be impressed if you don't know your history, right? Some people are like, yo, this horror movie's crazy. It's like, yeah, it's cool. I'm not trying to be a dick, but like I already know the exact fucking roots of it, so it's like it's harder to get the response out of me, for sure. You know, or people are like, Blueface has a crazy flow. He's off beat. It's like, bro, like check out Sugar T when you get a second. You know what I mean? Like things like that. So I feel like when you know your history, and a lot of that just comes with age, but a lot of it's attitude. But when you really know your history, it's harder to appreciate newer stuff. But when someone truly innovates, it stands the fuck out, and you can tell right away.
Fuck yeah. That's huge right there.
That was perfect.
We have one question before we let you go, from one of our listeners, Brock Coley. He was asking about Kristoff Krane and your relationship with him and what he's been up to lately. Is he getting back into the music?
Yeah, that's my brother. Elite human. Like, I don't even have words for how fucking good he is at rapping. Like
freestyle is insane. Yeah.
I feel small next to him when we're working on shit. Like he's so naturally good. His first song, it's called like Absorber's first song. You can find it online, and he's killing it, bro. Like my first 100+ songs were dog shit, you know, when I was a kid. But yeah, so he's amazing. But he's getting back into it. We've been chatting. He's a happy family man / shaman. And he's been making more music. He released an improvisational project with a guy named PCP, Patrick Pegg, who's also a good friend of mine. I've known him forever. Amazing person. And they recorded. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Oh, so they recorded I don't know if he's really explained the story of how they made this, but I've just, you know, talking to them over the years. They were recording, I believe, hundreds, if not more, hours of improvisational production and freestyle.
Wow.
And they took it down to, like, I don't know, a project. And that came out kind of recently. I think it's the first song in particular is like really crazy. But he has this like jazz soul of improv.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's working on anything, but I know he's kind of interested in rapping again.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
hopefully get stuff.
Obviously big fans, and that was just one of the listeners that was viewing this podcast, and he had that question, and I when I read that, I was like, yeah, what is Kristoff Krane doing? Because as being a big Eyedea fan, obviously he was somebody that was in that little group, and one of the last videos that's on YouTube of Eyedea and that freestyle session is that Freestyle with Friends in Minneapolis, and Kristoff Krane is very, very heavily in that. And
Eyedea had there have been since Eyedea passed, there's some people who've been like Sadistik was his prodigy or like things like that. Like that's not the case at all. Like we were friends. He fucked with me. Like he was gonna start a record label and these things. But like Kristoff is who he fully truly believed that like Kristoff is. It's hard to explain if you don't know him or you haven't like worked with a lot of people. Something about him is he's a fucking alien, man. Yeah. Like he's so good. He's I don't know.
The last time I got to see Eyedea was 2009, I believe, in San Francisco, and he had
Bottom of the Hill.
Kristoff Krane with him on tour, and you could tell that not so much as passing the torch, but you could tell that Eyedea was like signing off on this guy, like, hey, this is him. This is the next one right here, and so special.
And he knew, like he was a very, very smart person. He knew what the fuck was up. Like he knew it before anybody. I only heard of Kristoff because Eyedea told me, he's like, yo, checking your shit out, kind of what you're doing. Like you got to talk to my buddy Chris. Like he made that happen. Now, you know, ages later, like that's my brother. It's one of my like best friends. He's wonderful.
Your guys' collaborations together have always been amazing, and you know, very, very, very lucky to be able to hear not just your collaboration with him, but all your music throughout time. We're very, very, very lucky to talk to you, and blessed. Thank you so much for joining us. I really, I can't explain to you how much we've been looking forward to this, and you've been kind of on the top of our list for somebody to talk to. So it's very special to have you here, and thank you so much for everything that you've done for music and for us as fans. We really appreciate it. And staying true to it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Give it up. The one.
I'm coming out in the fall. I hope you guys love it. I really, really believe in this project.
Hell yeah.
It's been a long time tweaking this one. I feel good about it.
Can you tell everyone listening right now where we can find you and where we can actually pick up your music that really goes straight to Sadistik? We want that money going straight to your pocket.
Just type in Sadistik on Google and listen to something, and if it makes you feel anything, click another link. That's all I could ask for.
You heard it. You heard it. Give it up. The one, the only Sadistik.
Thank you so much, brother. We appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your night. Hey, good luck with everything. We're looking forward to it all.
Thanks, guys. Good to meet you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Sadistik, thank you so much, brother.
Peace.
Yeah.